What's good, y'all? We're back with another recap, this time grabbing some shorts. Few things to note. 1, 2, 3, 4 attempts at these highs, all tapered. They lose it, they lose this node, they fail to regain access into the node, low volume, they move through here. Where they did find a bid prior, they don't find any now. Thin volume, what does this mean? Aggressive structure. All sell side, nobody is willing to step in front with a bid. So the market knifes through here, comes up, still no bid interest. Now they're working lower. They catch a bounce, where? Low volume spot. Get a bounce, but if they cannot clear this low volume node now, they're going to get back into this range, which signifies interest building in lower prices, which would likely lead to this swing low, which is also a pretty steep drop off in volume and is also prior week's value area low. So this is the low volume node in reference. This is that swing low, this line here. And this is the axis. Imbalances. So similar to the high time frame volume profile imbalance, right? It's the same idea. Price knifes through. No one wants to bid this price, so it cuts right through. The only thing we need to do now is to see, is anyone going to be willing to bid it when it gains access back into this range? If they're not willing, price will likely make a new low, because this is not the best low. To me, this is not really resolved. They couldn't really trade outside, see what's really outside of this range. They just found a really big buyer. Check this out. Really big buyer. They're getting that bounce, but the bounce has to lead to forward progress, which would be through this range and back into this node. If they fail to do that, likely a new low. If they make a new low and they find interest building lower in the market, they will likely tag this swing low. So let's start the replay. This is going to be 1x speed. Switch it over, so now it's 1x. So they're failing to bid, but they're not in that range yet. Ideally, you want information. You want information where it matters, which would be this range right now. So you want to see price come back into this range and see, do they taper? Do they show a lack of willingness to bid? Do they actually try to bid and fail and trap themselves, which would lead to further liquidation, new low, etc., etc. So a pretty unresolved low is a good confluence for the short, right? So all you need to do is see if you can grab the short if the market is going to show a lack of willingness to buy this. This is 1x speed. So you can see the tape. They are doing some buying, but they lose this consolidation, they lose this, and they're working lower. So at this point, I would say it's a good time to throw some offers out, right? Get short. You can risk the top of the move, or you can risk this whole range. Either way, to me, this is now a good area to initiate shorts for new lows. So the market's going to do its thing. It's going to auction. Note where it's building and where it's not, right? So this is the new range right here. You can see in the volume profile here. Passive seller here, buildup of positive delta. And every time they get back into the range, not much gets done. This tape is still pretty negative, as you can see here. So here's another attempt through the range. Let's get some new prints on the bid and ask. And again, they fail it. And we get some zero prints. So one thing about these zero prints is the market generally does not resolve this way. If you see this during a move, it will likely be auctioned again. Nothing is 100%, but I'm always looking for these to auction again, both sides, upside and downside. Right now we can note that the tape is still negative. They're still not finding much interest in this range. And as long as that continues, the market is going to start discovering lower prices, Right. So right now, keep an eye on this imbalance, likely to be filled, especially if they're not going to gain any ground on the upside. So there you go. They've traded through those prices, and they're going to start working lower. So I'm going to speed this up to 3x now, just kind of get this whole thing moving. You're seeing a reloading offer on the pull stack. They're willing to step lower with these prices now. On the leg to leg, where the volume starts to taper, low volume, you do note negative delta. Passive buyer is in the market. If the sellers are able to cut through this passive buying, that means they can initiate price discovery lower again, because they've fully filled the buyer that's holding up the market in this range at least. So there it is. Through that buyer, found a new passive bid, 228 lots. They were willing to fill it, right? And they were willing to step down. So 235 up here. Taper. Let's see where this goes. Still a lot of negative delta. Tape is really negative. They are pushing sell side right now, right? There is buying, but they're just not getting anywhere with it. So likely new low. As they make a new low, what do we have? Another set of imbalances. New lows and new highs with these zero prints, very, very, very likely to reauction. So with that in mind, look at the tape. Very willing to sell, very negative tape. The market is going to start drifting higher. Again, zero prints. Now, as the market drifts higher, it does find a buyer willing to lift, but again, this is still good confluence for a new low. This is not the best taper. This is not a very good excess at the low. And what happens? They are still unable to really find any interest in the higher prices, right? It's the same old range, but every time they peek outside of it, they don't get anything on the buy side. So now we're seeing a lot of buying flooding in, but they get left off sides again. Willing sellers driving price, they are definitely in control, right? Look at this footprint. It's a lot of selling. We get a little bit more of an imbalance at the lows, about 4 ticks still. So I would not write this off as low of day just yet, right? But they're definitely getting some buying in. A lot of positive delta. Now we know what happens. If they don't get forward progress, they will be liquidated further. So note the volume build. Earlier they couldn't build up here. Right now they can't even build into the prior range, right? The market's moving lower. They're trying to buy this thing through, but they're not getting what they want. Let's reset the tape. Yep. They got liquidated, all that buying. So now price starts to move lower and lower. Mind where interest is building and where they can't build, where they can't sustain. You see all this buying coming in. Will they get forward progress? Let's get some new prints. Tape is still really negative here. Sell side still reloading. They blip lower. They find passive buying. They find buying. Again, offsides, right? And so they poke through this. Boom, cleared. And that's the trade. So now the market's got another decision to make. They've traded through the swing low into the low volume area, and they're building volume now. Failure to continue to make a new low would result in this volume getting left behind, and likely a squeeze through this low volume range back into this range towards the 90 MA and even into this imbalance, right? On a high time frame, that would be a move through here into the 690s. So with that in mind, let's start the replay. This is 1x speed. They've given multiple attempts at these lows. You can see the tape is slowly starting to turn, right? This is a very, very crucial area. The more time they spend not able to drive lower, the more sellers get stuck. It's not going to end well. We are quite a ways from the 9, which the market loves to gravitate towards when it extends away. So a lot of things working for the long side now. Again, they try to move lower, they fail it. Tape is still slowly turning, right? Still a taper in the sell side. So mind this range. Do they find initiative selling? Do they find a willingness to hit the bid? You can see right here, they've already hit 126 negative delta right here. And the longer price stays away from this, the more likely it is to just start squeezing upwards, right? So if the market gains access into this low volume area to retrace this imbalance range, it's likely going to just continue and continue up to the 9 EMA. And from there, they can find their way back into this range. So let's keep an eye on the DOM. They're finding access into that low volume spot now, and they are finding a bid this time around, right? This is new information. And now there are a lot of sellers stuck off sides. There is a lot of fuel. Tape is still turning. It's almost going to flip positive, right? A lot of buy interest. Still reloading on the bid. They're keeping access away from this lower range, right? The longer they do this, the more likely it is to just ramp up. This is what they're doing now. They're getting access into ranges where they did not find much of a bid earlier, but they're finding it now. So now we're going to see who gets forward progress, right? We're getting a build up to a tape now. Still, bid is reloading. So sell side pushing a little bit. Build up here. But now they lose this. The bid is starting to reload higher. 60 lots, 31 lots. They're willing to buy still. So they are not stepping off the gas. Again, price moves up. The question remains, who gets forward progress? So I'm going to speed this up 3x now. Let's get some new prints. Still buying. They move back down towards this old range. Now let's see what they do with it. Right. So mind the footprint. This is a lot of buying right here. Can they move through this buying to the downside? Trying. Let's get some new prints. They're not able to do so. So again, on the footprint, note this. A lot of buying that pushed price. When they came back to this range, they couldn't really find much. They weren't really willing to sell like they did prior, right? So we're going to keep an eye on that. Imbalances. Remember the zero prints, right? Generally does not resolve this way. So likely these prices will reauction. Still a really jumpy bid. Tape is still looking to turn positive here. Again, it's important to note who's in control. We've got a lot of buying here, and the market could not breach this to the downside. So now they're just holding higher prices. Buying is still flooding in. Now they're trading pretty firmly above this key level. So you got stuck delta, sell side, below. And the longer they stay stuck, the more this is just going to squeeze. And there it is. Back into the old range. They do find a reoffer, right? First time back into the old range. They get that pullback, but nothing comes of it for the sell side. On the pullback, a few things to note. They do find some selling, but the selling ends up offsides again. The tape has turned. It's positive now, right? All of this above this key level with a trapped node underneath. Very, very key information. As price moved up, they found big buying. Price came back to this range, not enough selling. There's a lot of information here that can signal a turn, potential shift in order flow. And that's what we're getting now, right? It just cuts right through the 90 MA, trades into this imbalanced range. And at this point, your trade's done. So this is pretty much down, new lows trade into a long 2 ways breakdown. If you guys want to see more of this, hit the likes, and I'll try to make some more for you guys. So for now, peace out, y'all.